people in their eyes. We weren't people that they would be concerned about on that level. Like, no one loses sleep thinking, oh no, those are human beings in there. Did I forget to turn on the vent? Like, that's not how they think. The shakedown crew had taken his mattress, right? And so he's trying to like unpack his stuff, and he's calling to the officer, like, they took my mattress, right? We're on lockdown. It's not like he can go down to the laundry facility when it's time to take a shower and say, listen, they took my mattress, can I get another one? Like, it might be days before he gets another mattress. He's like, you took my mattress, you know? So he's out of breath, he's tired, they've taken his mattress, and the officer comes in and it just completely berates him. Like, who do you think you are? This is a lockdown. We're having a lockdown. Don't you know there's a lockdown? How am I going to get you a mattress right now? You better live with this right now. You know, like, that's what she said to him. And he's like, as much as he can control himself, he's trying to like advocate for himself. But that's taken as being too belligerent, and so she's heading off to go write him up, right? Nathan had a heart attack. He had a heart attack. People are calling out to the officer, and they realize it's not a joke, you know, that he's not just being belligerent, and the warden comes and tries to give him CPR, you know, but he's gone. You know, Nathan's gone, right? He didn't die of natural causes. Like, that was pure negligence on the part of TDCJ. They created an environment where they put his health at risk, at grave risk. You know, a lockdown in the middle of the summer with 60, 70-year-old men with heart conditions. So I was based on the Walls unit. That's where they placed me. It's called the Walls unit because they're 30-foot walls all around it, right? 30-foot brick walls. But its actual name is the Huntsville unit. It's the oldest unit in Texas. The very first time, the very first execution, like, I can remember where I was standing. I remember how it felt. I remember that sense of sickness inside. I remember that my 12-step sponsor was there for murder, and like, I couldn't help but thinking, like, God, what if it were him? You know, like, this guy who's like my mentor, like, what if it were him? You know, because what separates him and that condemned person? Just different juries, right? Okay, so that's how I was experiencing the first one. 4 years in the unit, executions had a different feel. It was like, oh, this is the day that they close commissary early. You know? This is the day that I need to stop recreation early.
Yes, my name is Doug Smith. I'm a policy analyst with the Texas Criminal Justice Coalition. And this is my first time to testify before the Commissioner's Court, so I'm sure I'm going to break all sorts of protocol, and I apologize.
I wouldn't trade my experience, you know what I mean? Like, I think of the life that I'm living right now. Like, I mean, I told you about how awful it was in those years leading up to, like, crack use. I mean, like, I was ready to take my life. I just didn't want to live. I think the heartbreaking thing is that it took, you know, that I had to sort of be stripped of everything, you know, before any space could open where I could have a life like I'm living right now, right? So I have to be really careful. I can't say, like, prison made that possible. If it weren't for prison, like, that's because it's not true. Like, you hear how I'm finding support for myself. I'm living in a very, very healthy way, and I'm very protective of my outlook, and I find support to help me to keep that, right? Like, if I could do that back in 2005, I would have done that. I wouldn't have gone to prison, right? So I think, so I just have to be careful. But I'm really grateful that I got to experience losing everything, you know? Like, I got to experience losing everything that was of any importance in my life, like losing it, and getting the blessing of a life that was better than I would have ever imagined before, right? Like, that's such a huge gift, right? But that's not the experience of most people coming out of prison. It just so happens to be my experience.
So they moved me to the downtown jail, and I stayed there for a couple of weeks prior to my delivery date so that I'd be easier to transfer. And so then I had a little baby, and I got to spend the 2 days in the hospital with him, and I didn't set him down. And when I went back to jail, my t-shirt that I had gotten to wear to the hospital still smelled like baby, and I did not wash that t-shirt for the whole rest of the time that I was there. So, yeah, I am a pretty rational, logical kind of move forward kind of person. So, you know, I spent all that time in the county jail knowing what was going to happen, knowing that my aunt was going to come pick this baby up, knowing I was going to go back to jail, and this is just how it was. End of story. And when she came that day, I was so hoping that they would give me a third day in the hospital. I was just like, please, please let there be something wrong with me to make me stay here for another day. And then, you know, right, I don't know, probably a good 10 minutes before we left the room, I just started crying. And then, you know, luckily we got to take a picture with me with the baby. They let my aunt do that, thankfully. I think it was kind of a courtesy because she was a sheriff's officer in Williamson County. I think we were getting a little more out of the deal. But like, I could not stop crying. The whole hallway, I mean, I remember being in the wheelchair, going down the hallway, getting in the police car. Should have been excited about the contraband I was taking back with me from the hospital, all the lotions and stuff, but I just could not stop crying. And then when we got back to the jail, like, they were like, oh, no, you're not getting narcotics. Huh, we don't care if you just had a baby. Here's some aspirin, bye. And then they put me in a holding cell, and like, it's supposed to be for medical observation for 24 hours. It's supposed to be for your benefit, but like, the last thing that I needed right then was to be alone. Like, I really needed some kind of pro-social activity to kind of process what had just happened, what I had just been through, what I was still going through. And so for that whole 24 hours in that cell, like, I'm either asleep or I'm crying. And I just really tried to sleep through as much of it as I could. But it was the single worst experience of my life. I would definitely say that. Justice for them is somebody else paying. And that sounds an awful lot like revenge. And just seeing kind of that cycle of hurt people, and healed people, heal people. And so if you're hurt and you want somebody else to hurt, and then they're going to want somebody else to hurt, and then we're just creating this ripple and this perpetuating cycle that is never going to go anywhere. And so I just want to think about how we change that culture. How do we create healing in our communities, but also change the narrative where we care more about the community healing as a whole than we do about just getting revenge on the person that caused us harm.
It's important to me that my children grow up in a community where they know they are able to learn and grow from their mistakes instead of being relegated to the shadows of stigma and shame. It's important to me that they always have hope, to be more than their worst choice. Passing fair chance hiring in Austin is urgent for me and my family, and I ask you to vote yes on it.
Maybe what justice looks like is being more curious about somebody else's pain than your own. Maybe that's what it looks like.
You can always give someone money and it can run out, but you can never bring a person back from the dead. You can never fully heal from losing a person. Money is nothing compared to a life. The fact that that officer, he still gets to walk around and probably take his kids to Disney World or do this and do that. He can't be an officer again, but he can go get another job. But my brother, my nephew, he can't hug his dad again, you know? And it's still happening. And I think as long as it's still happening, then there's no justice being served. Not just for my brother, but for all those other family members who's going through. So not yet, but I'm trying to work on it.
And how do you think about justice now?
Like, how do I want it to be, or
What is justice to you?
I'm still trying to figure it out because I feel like I haven't seen it. Justice in my brother's case was giving us money and firing the police officer. Justice to me, I think, would be all those police officers who either have done wrong behind closed doors, something being done to them, changes within the justice system, less punishment for those who barely have crimes, but you have murderers and rapists who get less time than somebody that may have a gram of marijuana, just saying it out there. But I just think our whole justice system is not justice. It's injustice. It's unfair. So I can't really say what justice would be like because I don't think I've ever seen it. It's horrible. It's horrible. I literally feel like we just have a target on our back. Whether you're a man or a woman, if you are of colored skin, you have a target on your back. I used to be like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? And I'm learning that all this death is, I think that's God's way of saying, use your voice. This is what I need you to do. Because there's people who have been in your situation and they can't handle stuff that, I've put you through. So I'm trying to listen and be obedient and get there. Yeah.
He was an amazing man. He was a really gentle person in terms of, he was a gardener, so that requires patience and love and tenderness and willingness to see things grow. A lot of people don't know, but when your house becomes a crime scene in that way, you have to clean it up. So my mom's friends cleaned my dad's blood up, and there are bullet holes in our house and carpet torn, and they cleaned all that up. I was angry at myself, why didn't I yell stop? I felt guilty. Why did I duck down? Why did I survive? The automatic assumption is your dad did something wrong. He was a bad person. Your family's bad. You're bad. and police are good. They always do everything right. And so the system's right, and those who engage with the system and are killed or are hurt by it are the ones who are wrong. We're all the bad guys, But all poor, all black and brown people become the bad guys. That's like when you start understanding that it's systemic, that everybody is considered, everybody who comes into contact in this way. All vulnerable people are being put in that position. We can change it. We have to have the courage to change it. And just like slavery, just like lynching, just like Japanese internment camps, just like the genocide of Native Americans, all these different points where this country has made the wrong decision and not done right by people. And it still is doing that today, right? We have to have the courage to imagine a different world and to create it.
Times like these make me tired. Politicians like those make me tired. But we who believe in freedom cannot rest. Say it with me. We who believe in freedom cannot rest.
Most people don't know, on average, 3 people are killed by an officer every single day in Dallas. Not in Dallas, in the United States. There's a death in custody in Dallas, at least 1 every 6 weeks. This is a lot of people with stories as painful, if not more, than mine. And I have been able to work through different odds and am still working through odds to create joy in my life. But we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't be put in that position. We shouldn't be putting kids in that position. And so that's why we fight, and that's what our work is about.
He had my back, I had his back. And the thing that hit me so hard was the fact that I couldn't be there to protect him or to help him. And that's what really my struggle is. And the thing with him is he didn't care who you were. Like when some people would say, well, they homeless, they're this, they're that. Like, he believed in just be yourself and, just let whatever you have going on with yourself, that's fine. He wasn't there to judge no one. And some of those people, he actually had friends that were still homeless. And on the Christmas, he called each and every one of us and told us we were going to have Christmas at his house that year. He went and bought the biggest Christmas tree. And he told us that I'm going to have 12 homeless men to eat with us this year. And he said, I want y'all to bring every one of them a gift. And that's what we did. Our goal is when we go out here is not just to say that we want justice for my brother. It's to say that, this could definitely happen to anybody else, especially in this system. They were trained to be brutal, and that's just how they operate. So our message, our hopes is to get more attention, for them to focus more on the Harris County Jail and how they do their policies, their procedures. Is to focus more on them so that this doesn't keep happening. Because I'm every time we go and do a rally or a protest, I'm meeting families that have either been, inside of there and they've been beaten themselves, assaulted, or they had a family member that died inside of the same jail, or someone that was killed by a HPD officer, and this is every time I go out there, and it's sad that at one point it was 7 of us out there, 7 different families from 7 different backgrounds, all my color or either brown skin, that were out here at one time asking for justice in front of the courthouse, where they have the position and authority to give somebody justice, and they just do nothing. So our goal is to keep pushing until someone hears us enough to say, okay, something needs to definitely change. It doesn't matter what your background is, or where you come from, who you are, you still are a human being. And it doesn't matter what you did to land you in certain situations. Nobody has the right to play God and take anyone's life. The more people that are aware, the more people that are made known of what's going on down here, it will start putting a light on them to where the other people that are inside of this jail system, the inmates, they'll start, being more safe, because now you have so many people looking at them that it's going to be almost impossible for them to beat someone without, someone find out about it, or they're going to be scared of the consequences of what's going to come behind them, because right now they have no consequences, because they have a system to where if you wear a badge, whatever you do, they're going to find a way to make it justifiable. And it's just like a child. If you raise a child and you let them do whatever they want to do without consequences, they're going to keep going, and they're going to get worse, and they're going to keep doing more and more things, because there are no consequences until you give them consequences. We're not going to stop marching. We're not going to stop rallying until something is done. And if us rallying and marching is a circus show to you, then I'm sorry. But to us, this is personal. This is the most painful thing that I've had to go through. And that's all I can do is fight.
The parts of the story we need to tell, what we feel at that time, what we need to feel, what we want to feel, how we're feeling, all play into it. And so I've resigned to a whole lot of lower letter truths versus like a capital truth, I don't know if that actually exists other than within the moment. And even within the moment, every different perspective tells that truth in a different way.